Okay, I do my best, but sometimes OBS is just a pain.
Eh,
Hello!
I just wanted to let you know.
I
That's
turned
like
on my
we heard you
sound.
the whole time.
Yeah, no,
But
it's
yeah.
great. Um, okay, cool. Yeah, so like I said, after our usual 90-minute game, we will have our usual break, and when we return from that, we will be we're just sort of hanging out, talking about art, talking about the game, talking about stuff. It'll just be, as the name implies, a little bit of downtime. We'll get to that in its own time, however. Uh, why don't we go around the table and y'all can introduce yourselves real quick? Tell us who you are and tell us who you are playing. Vice, you go first.
Hello, I am Vice. I use they, them pronouns. I will be playing Cricket, our lovable little Kenku rogue tonight, who also uses they, them pronouns.
Awesome. Tiff, who are you? Who are you playing?
Hello, I am Tiff. I am playing Laurel. Laurel is pretty strict on the she, her. I'm more like she, her, they.
Awesome. And last but not least, or at least that's what I've been told, Devin, who are you and who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Devin. He, him pronouns. I am playing Cesario, a paladin of Umberly, using he, him pronouns as well.
Marvelous. And for DM Inspiration, who would like to give us a recap of what happened last time? If you already have DM Inspiration, you can instead bequeath it onto someone else.
One thing I did was pull up my notes.
Like, that's what the group journal's for.
There's always something you miss, isn't there?
Yeah.
So the last session, we continued our
didn't
way
put
through
any
the
notes.
muck and the rain to an abandoned shack. Cesario, you may continue. Just pick up the grip journal. It's there so that we can cheat.
While in the journal, not in the journal. While in the abandoned hut, we came across a spirit, particularly during Cesario's watch. That was a member of Umberly's church who was a part of the Royal Navy of. Don't think we actually know what Royal Navy he was a part of, but he was part of the Navy. And he wanted to be buried at sea before he died.
You can surmise he was related to the island of Dragonhead, considering he had a little shack here on Dragonhead. So yeah. Sorry,
That's
go on.
fair.
Yes.
And then Cesario had been passed out by the ghosty to bury his stuff in the water. And then from there we made our way into Crossroads, where we met with Sarah's father. Sarah being the halfling we met the session last, where she'd been attacked by a bear. I believe that's where we left off. I don't remember anything else past that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I can pick up from there.
Please, go for it.
Go for it, Cricket.
So after we met with Sarah's dad, whose name I can't remember, which is fitting for Cricket as well, we did a little bit of some farmhand work for them in exchange for dinner, a night's rest, and a ride to Summit.
Yeah. If I remember right, Cricket and Laurel planted seeds and sort of managed the fields a bit. And Cesario helped put up fences and do other strongman work around the farm. Yeah, awesome.
Let's try.
All right, great. So yeah, that's sort of where we left off, and as I said last time, y'all got your long rests. You got some hearty food and a comfortable bed for once, which has been a bit of an unsteady thing. You've had a lot of sleeping on the ground these last several days. A couple of instays too, but those are variable. In any case, in the morning, As you guys are sort of milling about for the day, who do you think would be the first one to wake up if none of you needed to take watches? Who's the first one up?
Absolutely, Laurel. That's without question. She is up with the dawn every day.
I'm gonna be
I was
honest
about
with
to
you.
say I have a feeling it'll be Laura.
I had that answer in my head before I finished the question, but it was already too late. I had to like finish.
Indeed.
Great. So yeah, you wake up just a few minutes before dawn. Like not literally like 3, but like a little bit before dawn. You can see the horizon beginning to turn orange when you look out the window, and everything else is still quiet. Everything else is still. There's a gentle rumbling sound from somewhere else in the farmhouse. The first few birds are beginning to sing their songs somewhere outside. You have a brief moment where it seems like you are alone in the silence. Also, sorry, real quick. Cesario and Cricket, you can both take your DM inspiration for tag teaming the recap.
Nice.
Tech team.
We like collaboration in this
Ta-da.
house. Anyway, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Collaboration is how, like, teamwork, dreamwork, collaboration, all that fun stuff.
Indeed.
So as Laurel just kind of sits there looking out over the horizon, she smiles and does that deep the deep exhale of simultaneously happy to see the sun rising again and just kind of relieved. You always feel that there's like a little bit of that anxiety in her, and every time that she sees the morning sun rise, it's relieved for just a little bit of time. And she starts her morning prayers, new prayers every day, more or less. Morning, Lord. Please bless me with your grace. Help me to face challenges with unwavering resolve. Give me the strength to overcome the adversity that comes ahead and the wisdom to make choices that honor your teachings. The dawn reminds me each day of the infinite possibilities before me. I will strive to bring the light to the darkest corners of the world. I offer this prayer in gratitude for the blessings that you bestow. As the sun reaches its peak, I will carry your light. I will illuminate the lives of all I encounter. Bringer of dawn, forever shall your radiant glory shine. Guide me on this journey, and I will walk in your divine footsteps.
Awesome. As you're finishing those last few words and ending your morning prayer, a sound breaks through the silence. You hear some very loud, fast scratching at the door to the room you're staying in.
Okay. And like all of that peace that she had just conjured up is now back to that anxious energy. Okay, it's fine. It's just something.
Oh, poor baby. Yeah. So, you move to open the door, trying to calm yourself as you go, and ultimately knowing it's kind of futile. But as you open the door, the dog is staring at you expectantly and with the closest thing to a smile that a dog can manage. Her tail is wagging slightly, and she's doing that, you know, that dog thing where they like crouch down to the ground on their front paws and just like wiggle and look at you sort of expectantly, like they're trying to play or like they need to go out. That's pretty much what she's doing. She's just
She'll just kind of look around, uncertain whether this is a I need to go potty or I need to be fed or I need to play type of wiggle. Does it seem like there's any whining or anything accompanying it? Is it just kind of like, hey, I'm a dog?
Let's say roll let's call this animal handling.
Of course.
It's an animal. that you are
I
trying to
know.
handle
I
effectively.
am trying to handle this. I've got a 9 for that. So obviously
It's
I handle this animal fantastically.
Oh yeah, 100%, no notes. No, you sort of study the dog for a second, tilt your head slightly, and the wiggling sort of intensifies as she makes eye contact with you. Um, it's one of those three things. You're almost certain of it. That's about as far as you get, though.
Okay, so first things first, she's like, okay, let's first go outside because that would be a mess. And she'll like step carefully past the dog and just kind of like walk towards the open door, looking for anybody who might like be missing this dog. Does it seem like it's the owners of the tavern? Like whose
No,
dog
you
is
guys are
this?
staying in the farmhouse. This is the dog that
Oh,
you
we're
were
staying at the farm. So okay,
interacting with last session at the fence.
my
It's like the
memory
family
is
dog.
like a
No, you're good.
goldfish.
I've been desperately searching for the name of this dog this whole time. Yeah, no, you're good. It's been a month the last couple days. Um
Yeah.
the it's the farmhouse's dog. Like it seems like the dog heard you talking and was like, "Oh boy, someone's awake." And started like trying to get your attention and trying to get you to interact with her in some way. Whether or not you want to take her out or whatever, like let her into the backyard or whatever, I don't know. That's up to you. But
Well, the first
she's
thing
looking at you expectantly.
Okay, so dog is supposed to be here. That's good. I've met this dog before.
Mhm.
Dog is not in the about to bite me necessarily, which is fantastic also. So I am going to kind of like wander on over slowly, like try to make my way through the house. Dawn has hit, but people are probably still wanting to get a little bit of sleep she's expecting.
Yeah, you can make that assumption, absolutely.
So she'll kind of like creep through the house to go open up the door, let people through, or I guess let the dog through, see if the dog wants to go out, and just kind of relieve itself out in the garden.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, exactly as you say. After a minute or so, after several minutes in the yard, it takes a minute to get the thoughts in line. After several minutes in the yard, running around a bit, chasing the odd squirrel, she does her business and comes padding back toward the house. And around this time, the others begin waking up. Cricket, Cesario, unless either of you think you would sleep in, you may also wake up. What a weird sentence. You wake up when you feel like you've woken up. I don't know.
You are
I
allowed
feel
to
like
wake
Cricket
up.
is the type to actually sleep in a little bit. Like if they're not actively like camping on the road, they're gonna
Yeah.
take advantage of a soft bed and sleep in a little longer.
Yeah, for sure. So you do as you say. But well, how late would Cesario sleep in? Do you think?
Maybe like 40 minutes past the dawn.
Okay,
One would wager.
sure. Give me just a moment. I'm trying to pull up my notes. My phone is not cooperating with me. Please hold.
What do I hold?
I don't know. That's for you to figure out, not me. Exactly.
Panic.
Where are my... There we are. As you are heading back into the house, it seems like Cesario's not quite up. You still have a little bit of time. And also you guys have been traveling together long enough that, you know, you've had nights at the inn. You know more or less the patterns of Cesario and Cricket. And you feel like you probably have a couple hours before Cricket will wake up naturally. But you probably got around half an hour until Cesario wakes up. But as you're heading back into the house, the dog takes off back toward the bedrooms. And after a second or two, Torek and Ella begin making their way downstairs. Ella's sort of running a brush through her hair and pulling it all back as she's walking down the stairs. Oh, good morning. Good morning. I trust you slept well, yes?
Oh, yes, always. I do enjoy having a good sleep, but I also really like getting up early.
Oh, yes. The dawn is wonderful this time of year. Um, it seems like you already took her out, yeah?
Yes, I hope that was okay. She just came,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I assumed it was all right.
You are perfectly fine. It is great. Thank you so much for doing that, actually. Sorry, I thought I had written the name of the dog down. Turns out I did not.
The
And,
dog's name is now Pepper.
I think it was like Sally or something like that. But
Okay, Sally the dog. There we go.
I'll rewatch the stream next week and figure it out. Before next week, I mean. Anyway, Torek comes down. Ella starts working on breakfast. But Torek sort of grumbles, grabs some coffee, and heads out to start doing farm work. You know, feed the animals, that sort of thing. Another several minutes go by, and Cesario and Cricket, both of you begin to smell cooking bacon and other
Ooh.
assorted breakfast smells.
Sario, at the smell of food, being a big boy, promised to go downstairs.
He's a big boy. Great, yeah. So yeah, you come down. Laurel is already down there, and looks like she. What would Laurel be doing to sort of pass time while waiting for things?
She would be assisting in the kitchen in any way she feels like she's not in the way. So if she could be helping with the food, she'd be helping with the food. If the food seems like it's already handled, she'd be like gathering the plates. If she needs to wash anything, she'd wash that. She'd just
Great.
help with any sort of preparation.
Oh, excuse me. Hold on. Oh, pardon me. Yeah. So Ella has you cleaning stuff as she doesn't need it, but also just doing all of the things as you say, like getting plates, getting silverware, cleaning stuff, that sort of thing. So Cesario, you come down. Laurel is milling about the kitchen and helping Ella do all of the odd jobs that Ella is not currently doing. You do recognize that the wooden spoon she's sort of manipulating the food with in the big cast iron like skillet is the wooden spoon she was carving yesterday.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Would Cricket wake up with the smell of food, do you think?
I think Cricket would start to rouse, but would kind of just like stay in the bed until hearing the clattering of like getting the table prepped. Kind of just like the waiting moment of like, I don't really want to socialize this early, but as soon as that food is ready, I'm eating.
Yeah, great. Ooh. Good lord, I can't stop. Okay. Yes.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Cesario and Laurel, you have a few minutes before Cricket comes down. Torek is still outside. You occasionally see him out the window walking past with, you know, a hay bale or a bucket of some kind. At one point, you do see him sort of jogging away from a rooster that seems to be chasing him.
That's a
Oh, no, he's getting
fantastic
chased by a
sight.
dog.
What's that?
He's getting chased by a dog.
He's always being chased by a dog.
But Cesario will go outside and help do morning chores, kind of like
Sure.
expedite, make this man's life a little bit easier. Man's life a little bit easier.
Yeah, awesome. I'm not gonna make you roll for it. You spend the next, you know, half hour or so helping do that while breakfast is being finished up. And when you come back inside, there's a spread. There are some fried potatoes. There are eggs and bacon and toast if you want it. There's a small bowl of like fruit. And Cricket, you know, after a few minutes of laying there in bed, you do eventually hear the clatter of plates and other such noises to prompt your turning downstairs.
as soon as Cricket hears the clattering of the plates, they kind of like get up, like ruffle their feathers a little bit, just shake it out, try to like shake awake almost, and then just I imagine Laurel and Cesario just hear a very little, like a very soft, like quick pitter patter down the stairs or like down the hall, and then Cricket is just sitting in the chair already, like ready to eat.
Do they like sit there and drum their little feathered fingers on the table?
Yes, absolutely.
Delightful. So you guys have a little bit of time here where you can sort of ask questions of Ella and Torek if you want to, or we can just sort of speed through breakfast and get you guys back on the road. It's up to you.
Zoom.
Zoom. Are you advocating for travel or?
I am advocating
Okay.
for travel.
Sorry, clarity is important.
No. You need
No.
to read my mind. You need to know what I am thinking, what the minimal utterance is uttered.
No.
There you go. See?
Do either of you have any qualms? Either of you. Do Cesario and Laurel, Cesario and Cricket, have any issues with getting on the road again?
On the road. No qualms.
Delightful.
Cricket is a-okay with getting on the road, but is definitely like making sure throughout breakfast to just repeat like thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you after every time that they're being held, like handed like more food or like salt or pepper or anything like that.
Awesome. Yeah. So, breakfast doesn't take a super long time. It's a 20-25 minute sort of affair once it's all done up. It takes another 10 minutes or so to clean everything up. And eventually you get on the road, Torek driving the cart. Y'all get to sit in the back for a while instead of walking. He just passes right through Crossroads. The center of Crossroads is a rather large bazaar. You see people selling like jarred foods of various kinds, pickled things and jams and honey. You see people selling homemade like clothes or tools. You see the odd person trying to sell an animal. Just all sorts of different things. People basically bringing whatever. Think of it like a flea market, I guess. That seems to sort of be the center of Crossroads, and everything else sort of expands out from there. But eventually you continue on towards the north, towards Summit. Excuse me. Around midday. Oh! Good lord. I've heard that yawning is contagious, but, I didn't catch it from anywhere. What the heck?
Apparently you're catching it from yourself.
That's busted. That's recursive. No, I refuse to accept that.
It's the only thing that makes sense,
As you are heading north out of the town of Crossroads, there's eventually you come to the river. The Crossroads is really close to where the Shade River turns into Sidreer and the Harmon River, where it sort of splits. And you have to go across a bridge across the Harmon River toward Summit. This is a rather large but old bridge. It's primarily constructed of stone. A lot of it has gotten very beaten over the many, many years that it has stood. You see algae growing on it and pockmarks from various kinds of erosion and damage that has occurred over the years. But it doesn't seem to be rickety or anything of that sort. By the end of that first day leaving the Harfeather farm, you are just on the other side of the bridge, basically. There's probably another day or so towards Summit. Go ahead and let's see some perception checks for that travel.
Am I still debuffed or no?
This isn't related to that. You're fine. Um, that disadvantage was for like the random travel type stuff. Um, so your perception check is at a normal roll. Go for it.
I got an 11.
Yeah, you did.
15 for tutorial.
Great.
And I got 14.
There we go. Sorry, the thing wouldn't change on me. Great. So the day goes by relatively uneventfully. The weather is calm and easy. But as you begin winding down for the day, you start looking around for a campsite, and eventually you find a good place sort of off the way. Torek starts setting up a few tents that he brought with him, just stuff that he had laying in the attic. He grabbed some camping supplies and stuff. As he's doing that, though, you do hear some rather intense noises from deeper into the forest. Growling roars. You don't hear any screams, strangely, but it does seem like a rather large creature of some nature is deeper in the woods, up to something.
Dog?
I don't think that's a dog.
It's not a dog, then what is it?
It might not be as friendly.
The big dog wasn't friendly.
That wasn't a dog either.
But you said it was a dog.
You did say it was a dog.
Cricket
You
will go
broke her.
ahead and Cricket will go ahead and open up the journal that they've been writing in, where they have like a little sketch of a bear and then like big angry aggressive dog, and then like a little like scribbling of like a coyote, and then like medium sized aggressive angry dog. Just like these like little animals that they could think of off the spot to better describe it to Cesario.
Dog. Not friend dog, just dog dog.
Not a dog.
Just dog.
Just not a dog.
This shouldn't be funny, but it's absolutely hilarious.
That's how that goes.
You gotta love a bit sometimes, for sure. Wait until he gets weirdly fussy about the species of like whales and fish and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen, I'm sure.
No, whales are mammals. I'm really sorry.
just
What was the
scribbled out.
conclusion y'all reached after the discussion of dog?
Dog.
Dog.
That's it. It's a dog.
Just dog.
Yeah.
Aggressive,
Not friend.
Not friend dog.
not friend.
Does that
As you
count?
guys, what's that?
Does that count as a conclusion?
It is a conclusion for sure. So Torix finishes setting up the camp and starts sort of getting a little bit of a fire going. Do you guys want to look for firewood? Do you want to look for food, or just roll with like rations for the evening? What is your
It might be wise. It might be wise to not go in the woods, especially with not friend dog. In the nearby
vicinity?
vicinity.
Vicinity. Yep.
Was that in character?
It is now.
Yes.
Common is still a bit unfamiliar to Cesario.
Yeah, wee bit.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Yeah. So, okay. Roll, just roll a quick perception check. All three of you, just sort of see what you can scrounge up that's really close to camp without going any deeper in.
You said perception?
Yes, please. To see what you can find for firewood and to see what you can find for any kind of, like, food items that are close to camp.
No.
13.
8.
Great. Laurel and Cesario, you find yourselves getting distracted. Every time there's some sort of crack in the forest, the snapping of a branch or the rustling of leaves, you look up, each for your own reason. Cesario, a little desperate to prove it's a dog. Laurel, desperate to know whether or not it's something come to kill her. Fortunately, Cricket's a little less distracted, at least in this moment, and they manage to gather a few armfuls of firewood that you feel like if you parcel it out and keep sort of a small fire going, you could have a fire throughout the night. You're not able to forage any additional food, however, so it is going to be rations for the evening. But yeah, you managed to sort of settle in for the evening. What order are we doing watches in again? It's Cricket, Cesario, Laurel?
I think that's typically been going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Laura will always be picking up that last watch unless somebody fights her for it.
Cricket doesn't mind staying up a little bit late.
Yeah, for sure.
Cesario
Okay.
likes to nap.
Yeah, and Cesario does have a strange sort of calmness being this close to the river. It's not her domain, strictly speaking, but it leads to her domain, and he knows that. He knows that he's not very far from it either. So there's a sort of security here that he may not necessarily feel elsewhere.
Yeah. Can I like wash my face and like almost kind of like religiously like wash the upper half, just kind of like
Please.
bathe in her presence?
Yeah, you describe whatever you want for that. Go for it.
Yeah, it's a simple procedure, just kind of taking off his upper armor, shield, his shirt, and just hums softly to himself and kind of like a religious air
Yeah, great.
as he goes about a basic cleansing ceremony.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Are there any scars or markings or anything that the others might notice after you've taken off your shirt and everything?
There are a lot of scars. There's a lot of markings. Across his back, there appears to be whip marks, different kinds of scarring across his back. But the most prominent on top of those would be the Lichtenberg scarring, the lightning bolt scars, trailing from the back of his head down where his hair would normally cover, all the way down his spine and spiraling as like a nervous system.
Awesome. I've seen pictures of those scars in real life. They're so flippin' cool. Great. Do either of you comment on that at all?
I think Cricket just stares, not really having the words to bring it up, per se,
That's fair.
but just kind of like looking and turning their head side to side, quizzically.
Quizzically.
Quizzically, thank you. I'm trying to fit in extra letters where they don't belong.
No worries.
In
Great.
complete opposite, Laurel will not look anywhere near him.
Oh, okay. Understood. Toric is also kind of a little bit of a quizzical look, particularly at the scars. He seems a bit worried about the scars. And you can plainly see the worry on his face when you return to camp, as well. Whether or not you see Cricket's demeanor is up to Cricket, but
Cricket isn't necessarily trying to hide it. In fact, when Cesario comes back, we'll probably like tilt head really far to the side and just go, "Burly man!"
Yeah. Cesario gives Cricket like a playful flex. Like, I don't know how to describe it with words. I'm sitting here doing motions in front of the camera, but my camera's not on.
does he do like a bodybuilder pose, or is it more like
Yeah,
more like an
some,
action
like,
pose?
yeah, some like Armstrong kind of like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
sitting here
amazing.
struggling with the big boy words. And yeah, by the time he's left the river, he's put his shirt back on.
Right. After a second or so, Torek just sort of quietly and very genuinely makes eye contact with Cesario and is like, what happened?
I just bathed in the river. Nothing happened?
I mean the scars, lad. I don't
Oh.
remember his voice. What happened? They look pretty nasty.
Training? Yeah, that's training.
Training for what?
Paladin? Training? Yeah.
He sort of gestures toward Laurel. Was that your experience too?
No, nothing like that.
Well, you seem tougher for it, and that's worth something.
Thank you.
Do you three need me to take any kind of a watch, or these roads typically aren't unsafe, but you never know.
I think we got it. Right?
I think we're okay. Thank you though.
And she does
Of
her
course.
bowing bit.
All right. Well, horses have been tended to. I'm gonna turn in for the night. Just wake me if anything goes wrong. Yeah.
Of course.
Certainly try.
Thank you again.
Of course. I'll see you in the morning. And he goes into one of the tents, and there are little like toggles of sorts that hold the tent flaps closed. And he gets in there, and you hear a little bit of shuffling about before he seems to lay down. You have a moment if you guys wanted to roleplay with each other at all before the watches begin, but yeah, it's up to you.
Cesario will give the dogs who pulled the cart gentle pats.
I was like, wait, what dogs pulled the cart? Did Sally come?
No, the dogs with the very hard paws.
The ones
big,
with the really long faces. Got it.
yeah. The big muscle dogs. As you sort of as you do that, you do see near where the horses are, there is a feed bag full of oats. Not close enough that they can reach it in the middle of the night, but it is near them. If you wanted to feed them a little extra, you could, but otherwise they graciously accept the head pats, huff a little as you touch them, but yeah.
Yeah, Cesario will give the cart dogs cheeky oats.
Yeah, absolutely. Just for fun, roll a stealth check.
It's 12 on the die. Where's my character sheet? Oh, it's disadvantage. That's the wrong. I lost it. Where'd it go? There it is. It's not very stealthy. 4.
I thought you said a 12 on the die.
I have disadvantage.
Oh, because of your armor. I was
Yeah.
like, why do you have disadvantage? I didn't say that. No, okay. Yeah, both of you see him doing it, and after a second of rustling and the flap of the bag sort of makes a bit of noise as the, what's the word? Closure, like, jingles. And you just hear Torek from his tent. He doesn't even open it, just, leave the horses alone. Don't overfeed them, please.
I wanted to feed the sled puppies. Or the car puppies.
If you feed them too much, there won't be enough food.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right. Just leave them alone. Go to bed.
Give him a couple more pats and just like, okay, sorry.
I'm so sorry.
They got slightly damp oats as well.
Because you're always damp. I forgot about that. You're gonna make those oats grow mold. All right.
They'll be gone by the time that happens.
Do Laurel and Cricket want to say or do anything before watches begin?
Cricket will take a look to Cesario as he comes back from the horses, and will just kind of like, with like the equivalent of their pointer finger feather, will like trace along Cricket's own body in the shape of Cesario's scars, and just once again like doing the head tilt kind of like question.
Yeah.
Which one? Are you referring to the Lichtenberg scarring or the whip scars?
I guess all. Whatever you're comfortable with sharing.
Kind of, I guess, assuming because the scarrings kind of just go down to his upper arm, where his tunic would normally cover. Kind of like assuming that Cricket is tracing along their arm, feather, wing.
Is that what's happening?
Drumstick? I don't know.
Drumstick, no.
The drumstick is the leg on the chicken. That doesn't make sense.
This is a fantasy realm.
Not
Birds are not quadrupedal in this. Or at the very least,
Fair.
Kenku are not.
I was gonna say owl bears, could be.
Owl bears are not birds.
I mean, they're part bird.
They're still not birds. They don't fly.
You gotta be part bird, though.
Note to self,
Otherwise
not
they
a
would just
flying
be-
owl bear.
But
Oh,
they'd
no,
just be
please
bears
don't.
without the owl part.
Can we not have that in the brain space, please? Albas are already terrifying. They don't need wings.
Flying owl bears would be so cool, though.
Flying owl bear.
It's
Good Lord.
just the nocturnal version of a griffin.
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
so into it now. I'm so later.
I've made a mistake.
You have made a terrible mistake. We are going to pay for it later.
Oh well.
You don't know. You don't know anything.
We will say, I guess, seeing that Cesario seems confused, Cricket will just like hop up and like just kind of like gesture like, is it okay if I like touch you to talk about which ones I'm questioning?
Sure. Go for it.
and Cricket will like trace the lightning bolt looking one, and then we'll like do like a little like shrug gesture, like that's the first question, and then we'll go over the other scars, and then we'll hold up like a 2, like that's the second question.
Okay. Okay. The first one is the markings of Umberly's children, like her descendants, is what we've been taught in a church. Not everyone has them, or is born with them. I have it. My father has it, and I believe my grandfather as well.
Great. You really do got to share more of the Figaro family line. I want to know more about their lore.
It'll come up.
Cricket will nod, and then we'll trace the other scars real quick, kind of like an not urgent, but like quickly, like, okay, so what about these?
These ones are training for missing a stroke or messing up a technique or not listening.
So their punishment.
Well, in the field, we like to refer to them as encouragement.
Oh, what an
Laurel just
emotionally healthy
shudders hearing
relationship.
that.
What an emotionally healthy relationship with your faith.
Oof.
Yeah, absolutely. 10 out of 10.
No,
Shit,
no.
Cricket
Cricket once again tilts their head like way over to the side, and just in this like kind of like they look a little confused, and they make like a little like imitation jab motion and go, "I'll stab you, I will."
Why are you stabbing me?
Will shake their head no, and will like they seem a little stumped on how to communicate it. But we'll repeat the "I'll stab you, I will." And then we'll just kind of like mimic like an over exaggerated like sad sigh and hang down words.
Cesario gently kind of reaches with a damp hand, pat, 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 right on the head.
Yeah. Great. So,
He's not entirely sure what the meaning of the words were.
so this sort of your conversation sort of continues along this line for a little bit. Eventually, Cesario does split off to go sleep, at least for a portion of the night before his watch. And Cricket is left alone with the darkness and a little fire. Roll me a perception check, Cricket.
Heard. Oh, it's mod 20.
Great. So yeah, you tune your ears to the night. And there's the usual sounds you would expect. Crickets or locusts. You hear the odd rustle as some nocturnal creature or other moves to or away from shelter. But your watch passes without incident. Is there anything you want to do while the others are asleep?
I imagine Cricket has probably used the the sparkle tool to make the little lights to brighten up the small fire, because I remember you mentioning it was going to be a little small.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of like sit on the ground in front of the fire, like keeping an eye out, using one of their daggers to kind of like just make little doodles in the dirt in front of them.
Just for fun, roll me. Let's call it a sleight of hand check.
Heard.
Holy
Nat
heck!
20 for a 28.
Yeah, your art is outstanding. It's a shame it's in so temporary a medium. Describe for us, in as much detail as you wish, what you draw in the dirt.
Cricket will go ahead and I imagine a few different little drawings. There's one of Laurel, one of Cesario, like a little like self-portrait, and then just kind of almost like little like comic strips of some of Cricket's adventures, like before joining the guild and like meeting the rest of the party, where they got specifically the line "I'll stab you, I will," at like at the Burly Man tavern that they had mentioned before, and just kind of like
Oh, you cut out there for a second.
accidentally stealing someone's drink, and having that incident leading up to the I'll stab ya, and Cricket just kind of being like, "It is now my time to go," and takes the drink with them as they run away.
Great. So yeah, there's a little like a surprisingly, astoundingly good little backstory comic doodled in the dirt. Before you go get Cesario up, do you leave it in the dirt, or do you like, scramble the dirt to get rid of it?
Cricket will kind of like dust away the self-portrait, but will leave everything else up.
Okay, great. So you go and nudge Cesario awake, pecking him in the leg.
As per usual, yes.
Great. It was more just double checking where you peck him, because I didn't remember if it was like in the side or whatever. Great. So yeah, Cesario, you wake up middle of the night, for your watch. As you come into the space near the campfire, you see as Vice described, a phenomenally detailed and well-made sort of little comic of
And a
their...
portrait of you and Laurel.
Yes.
Very nice. You will,
As you settle in for your watch, roll me a perception check, please.
oh boy. Oh boy, 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 boy.
I believe in you.
You shouldn't.
The one thing you have to understand is that every roll is good for me. See? This is phenomenal. Was that a natural one?
Yeah.
Okay. Fortunately, the watch goes without incident.
He's really
As far as
distracted
you
with the
know,
comic.
as far as you know, the watch goes without incident, because Cesario falls asleep about half an hour into his watch. And
Shit.
eventually, Laurel, you wake up naturally. 10-15 minutes before dawn. Cesario never woke you up for your watch.
And she just kind of looks around.
Oh, did I miss anything? Oh gosh.
Cesario is sort of like, He was sitting on like a log by the campfire. So he's sort of like slumped over, sound asleep on that log.
She will rush over and just kind of like gently poke him to make sure he's not dead.
Is Cesario no, I'm kidding. Cesario, you
I mean,
are
he did roll a 1. Maybe he is. We're not sure.
roll a con save. Cesario, you are being poked awake. Your back
Are you
hurts
all
something
right?
fierce because you
That's
slept
a-
hunched over.
It's a 19 con save.
If you nat one that, you might. No, I'm kidding. You are being nudged awake, and the first thing that hits you is that you are not laying in your bed, or your bedroll, whatever the case. Second thing that hits you, your lower back hurts like a son of a gun. Probably because of the fact that you're not sleeping in a bed. Sorry, Laurel, go ahead. I cut you off there.
Are you okay?
Yeah, are you okay?
I'm fine, but what happened? I thought that you were gonna come, like, you're gonna come wake me up. Did I oversleep? Did I not wake up? Oh my gosh, I didn't wake up, did I?
No, that's all me. You ever, like, sit down and, like, read something, and then something ends, and then you just go into your own, like, mind and how, like, what could have happened with the rest
No.
of the story, and you just close your eyes trying to imagine it all, and you wake up being nudged by somebody else?
No.
Oh. Well, that's what happened.
I think that just might be you.
Oh. But anyway, there's a really cool comic on the ground. Is that what it's called in the over surface world?
Yeah,
She'll take a look at it, and I'm assuming it's still there.
Yeah.
I didn't touch it.
It is again as Cricket described. It is as described.
well, just because you didn't touch it doesn't mean that something else didn't come up and mess with it while you were asleep.
Yeah. Turns out there are
Sounds
internet
okay.
trolls infesting this forest, and
Right?
one came just to root. No. Keeping that in mind for future, but for the moment, no, it's fine. It is as Vice previously described. Maybe a little bit thrown around by just bits of wind or whatever. There might be a track of footprints across, like little paw prints. But for the most part, it is as it was left.
Oh, this is so cute.
Right? It
Did you draw
stops
this?
abruptly. I did not.
Oh,
And it stops so abruptly, and I just wanted it to continue, and then I
She'll
dozed
just-
off.
She'll look over to Cricket with just kind of like a smile, like,
I bet we could ask them to, add more to it. Maybe tell us more about the story, draw more of the story. It is really nice.
That'd be really cool. Maybe next time I won't fall asleep. Try and do it.
That would be good.
Feel bad.
You should.
Points for honesty, Laurel. Points for honesty. Great. So you guys get everything packed up, head out for the day. Roll me some perception checks for your final day of travel towards Summit.
Another nat 20 for a total of 25.
Beautiful.
19.
Can't believe Cricket rolled 2 nat 20s in a row, broken up only by Cesario's nat 1.
that's how the dice rolls.
That is
Balanced.
as all things should be. Yeah. I got an 11.
Okay. Cesario is still not terribly comfortable looking for things on the road. But
He's
Cricket's...
also eating himself up a little bit with the whole falling asleep on watch. That's one of
Yeah.
the things he'd gotten away for in the past.
Aw.
Yeah.
Cricket actually decides to sit up front with Toric for this ride, and A little ways into it, a few hours after leaving the previous campsite, around midday or so, they spy a bit of a cart sticking out from the trees area, and what looks like maybe a small table off the road. Um, you see it before anyone else seems to. You see signs of someone off the road a ways up.
Cricket will kind of flutter their wing a little bit to like tap slash get Torik's attention, and we'll just kind of be like, "There's something ahead."
He previously he was sort of looking around at the birds in the sky, and he nods and like tries to stare toward the direction you're pointing. Give me a moment to roll some dice. He squints, but he doesn't see it at first. It's probably a good mile or so off. You just see little bits of stuff sticking out of the tree line off the road. Laurel, after a short little bit, you do see the same thing that Cricket saw. Partly because also Cricket was pointing it out to Torik, and you could follow the eye line, so to speak. Like I said, a bit of a cart sticking out, and maybe what looks like a table or a stand of some kind off the road.
Oh. You don't think that this one is, like, attacked by bears too, do you?
Cricket just kind of shrugs.
It's all bears. Bears all the way down.
No.
All bears. Bears all the way.
You mean
No
dogs?
blood?
They're not dogs.
You said they were dogs.
I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong.
You're gonna make her cry. What did you say, Cricket? I'm
You're
sorry.
the one
You got
that's
a little.
supposed to-
You got a little talked over there.
No worries. Did Cricket notice any like blood or signs of struggle?
From the distance you're at and sort of the angle, you don't see anything untoward. It doesn't look like the cart is crashed into a tree or anything like that. It looks like it's just sort of parked and just sticking out slightly.
Saw no blood?
No blood. Well, that's promising. Do you think they're trying to maybe sell their wares or something?
Friend.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Does it seem like it would be safe to approach?
Roll an insight check.
No.
You gotta roll a vibe check
Got
if you
him.
want to check the vibe. I don't know what to tell you. Nothing trips you up as dangerous. It's probably fine.
She will just kind of gather up her robes and start making her way a little bit closer.
Hello? Hello?
So, yeah, picking up on the conversation, Torik pulls the cart to a stop and sort of nudges it off the road a little bit, and you guys can approach. You approach, like you say, and after about 10-15 seconds, a figure steps out. An elven man, looks young. Looks like if you were comparing him to human, he'd look somewhere in the realm of 20. He has clear, bright skin. He has long blonde hair that is sort of that shines and shimmers in the sunlight. Oh, hello. What a sight you are. Look at those robes. Can I help you with something?
Well, we saw you that you were here, that you had something kind of set up, I suppose. Or are you selling anything?
Yes, he says after like thinking for a second. I suppose I could. Please, why don't you and your friends join me for a spot of tea?
Tea? Oh, yeah, okay.
And he sort of like
And
leans
she'll-
around you and motions towards the other friends to come towards him. He has just the biggest, brightest smile you've ever seen. Come, I have plenty for everyone. I always carry extra cups. You never know when you're going to have visitors. Come on.
Oh, of course.
And she'll just kind of like look back to everybody, smile and shrug, and then just follow along.
He waves his hand, and a nearby a trunk that was sort of on the ground next to the table flops open, and you see 4, 5. You see 5 little teacups sort of crawl out on their own. You see a teapot crawl out on its own. And
Oh.
the teacups all sort of set themselves up on the table around it. And the teapot sort of approaches the edge of the table, and he pours some water out of a canteen into it, and then just like pets it, like taps the top of it like he's petting a dog. And it settles
No,
itself in the middle.
Cesario. No.
Oh,
Glass dog. It
Porcelain
sits
dog.
itself.
No.
Yeah. It sits itself down in the middle of the table, and he just looks at all of you expectantly. Well, and it'll be ready in a moment. I have to wait for the water to heat up, of course. Despite my best efforts, it still takes a while. Would you like to tell me your names, or should I tell you mine first?
Did Torek join us?
He waits for you guys to walk ahead, but once it seems like all of you are in favor, he does join you. It seems like your badges lend you a measure of credibility that you maybe didn't expect or wasn't properly explained. There's a measure of like, well, if you guys trust it, I can trust it. You know what I mean?
I was going to say, would it be possible for Cricket to kind of like trail at the back of the group and just kind of like, while we're following this man into the woods, Cricket's gonna look
Fine.
back to Torek and just kind of give like a yikes face, and we'll kind of do like a hand motion,
So
like waving down, just of like stay on guard type of thing.
sure. Let me see. So you don't have a mouth. You have a beak, which is unfortunately a very immobile facial feature.
Very true.
You have beady little corvid eyes. I don't know how much motion you would have in the face for facial things. Let's just say roll a straight charisma check for me. See sort of how effectively you carry the message.
Yeehaw, okay.
I believe in you.
I am not well in charisma. 4.
You are not well in charisma. He looks at you quizzically for a second and just gives one of those like awkward like sort of little like giggles, the sort of like awkward laughs, and just motions for you to continue walking ahead. It
Cricket,
seems
face
like
palms.
it seems like he thinks you were trying to get him to walk in front of you, and he's just doing the like, no, please, you go first kind of gesture.
Cricket turns back and just kind of like face palms a little bit. But we'll kind of like definitely trying to give off the vibe of I'm being guarded right now, so I'm suspicious.
Sure. Do you just like have your hand on your dagger or something?
Not necessarily directly on the dagger, but kind of hovering above it.
Okay. I'll say 10 seconds into your walk to this man's campsite, you not you, sorry. Torek picks up on it, and his hand sort of hovers by the short sword that he has strapped to his hip. Are Cesario and Laurel doing anything? This man did ask for y'all's names.
Sure. I am Cesario Figaro.
Is that right?
Oh, shoot.
Laurel is just
What's the...
beaming as
what-
Cesario realizes what just happened here. The question here, does Laurel? Let's find out. No,
I
She
was
does
and I
not.
am.
she has no idea.
Cesario. Devon, more specifically. Tell me about one of your ancestors. Maybe not a long ways back, but like your father or grandfather. Just give me a little something that maybe might have gotten out if he had done anything noteworthy. If it helps, you can even just give me a name. I rolled to see if he might recognize the Figaro name, because your family has been sort of leading the Church of Umberlee for a long time, and I figure there might be a measure of notoriety to it. Unfortunately, I do not have any of that lore on hand, so I'm asking for some of it, if you don't mind.
The Cesario's father helped establish a church in Kythos.
Okay.
A small church in Kythos.
To Umberlee?
Yeah.
Okay. What was his name? Or if he had a title, that's also fine, but...
I don't have the doc on hand. I believe I had his name as Leonardo.
Okay. He sort of... When you say that your name is Cesario Figaro, he just thinks for a second and just... Are you perhaps related to Leonardo Figaro? From Kythos, or associated with Kythos at any rate?
Yes. That's my... How do you know my father?
Oh, I didn't know him personally, but word travels, and I travel wherever the word goes. What about you? He sort of looks toward Laurel. What's your name?
Oh, my name? My name is Laurel. It's lovely to meet you.
Just
She does
Laurel.
that 3-bow thing.
No, no surname of any sort?
I'm sure that I have one. I just wouldn't really know. I grew up in the church.
Really?
No one told me I had another name, but I'm sure that I'm sure I do have one.
Well, perhaps this is an opportunity for you to make one. Decide one for yourself, as it were. And what about you two? And he looks back toward the somewhat trailing Cricket and Torek. What are your names?
Cricket kind of hesitates for a moment, and if I may, because I cannot make the sound personally, may I use the soundboard to make the sound?
To make which sound? It could be very aggressive in the stream.
The cricket sound.
I will say yes, with the caveat that may be a no in future streams if I cannot make sure that it's not going to be like a terribly aggressive noise.
I know that you can edit the volume of it. Hold on. Alright, I don't know if that'll fix it coming from me or if it's only how it'll sound on my end, but let's see.
sounds okay.
I didn't even hear it.
That's adorable.
Oh, there it is. Cool. His smile wavers a little bit, and he just looks at you quizzically. Is that a name, or did someone say a bad joke?
Name.
Really? Fascinating. And he he echoes it back at you with a mimicry you wouldn't have expected. I have a bit of lag here because I have so many things running simultaneously, so I cannot activate the soundboard myself. But he echoes the cricket noise back at you. It is wonderful to meet you. And you, sir? And Torek just nods. Name's Torek. Torek Harfeather. It's nice to meet you. And he returns the nod. And you as well. Of course, if introductions are to be in order, I should give you mine, yes? My name is Avari. Avari Say. And I will... Never mind. I'll return to thought. And he does a little, like, bow. As he's sort of bowing and the introductions are finishing, you hear the kettle sort of begin to whistle, and the teapot itself is sort of shaking on the table. Ah, it sounds as if the tea is ready, or will very shortly be. Come. Do any of you have a preferred flavor?
I'm a saltwater man myself. Gotta get the nutrients and the electrolytes and the sodium.
Right. So perhaps maybe a matcha sort of tea? Hold on, a quick
don't know what that is.
diversion if I may. Matcha's made with a sea algae, right? Am I remembering that right?
I have no idea.
I have not looked into matcha in a very long time. It doesn't matter. He produces a vibrant... He produces a vibrant green tea and adds a little bit of it to the cup and just... Of course, I should have recognized the blue skin right away. This is a tea that is derived from sea algae. It should sate your thirst for the ocean, at least for the moment. And you two, looking toward Laurel and Cricket.
Oh, I enjoy something that's a little bit on the sweeter side, but not too sweet. Just something that has that little pick-me-up of sugar, maybe.
Sure, I understand. And he snaps his fingers, and a little sugar bowl comes crawling out of the case. And as it settles next to the kettle on the table, a little sort of arm-looking appendage pulls off the lid, almost like it's tipping a hat toward you. And there are little sugar cubes inside there that you can add to your tea. Do you have a fondness for
bow to the bowing. It tips its hat, so she bows to it. Absolutely.
Do you have a flavor preference? Green tea, black tea? I've had a white tea on hand for a while.
A white tea might be nice. That
Wonderful,
tends to
of
be a little
course.
bit sweeter.
Yes, absolutely. And he adds some of that to your cup. One thing that's a little curious is that the tea doesn't seem to be like magically automated. He's doing like little scoops from it's like a big tin that he has, and inside of that is a bunch of little tins that have different kinds of tea, and he's like doing scoops of it into each cup.
Please tell me that these are not alive. And that he's not scooping the guts out of his creations to give us tea.
Roll an insight check.
Oh no. No.
This is not necessarily to determine what factually is, but more what Laurel thinks.
You asked
In
for
the
this.
absence
I did.
in the absence of stated truth, what would Laurel assume?
Laurel would assume
Terrible things.
everything around here is alive. And she doesn't want to take the sugar cubes anymore. And she doesn't want to take anything from this tea. She's afraid of actually harming them.
She just pales instantly.
She just suddenly pales as she realizes she's like the sugar cube dude, you know, it tips his hat to her and she bows, and as she bows, she realizes, oh no, that's like your guts, that's like your blood. No, I can't have that. I can't have any tea, please. No tea. No, we don't really want any tea.
I apologize for putting her through that a little bit. I apologize a little bit.
Yep.
He looks toward Cricket. Do you have a preference? Green tea, black tea? I have white tea. There are herbal teas. Perhaps something with floral flavors.
Laurel just shakes her head vigorously at Cricket. No, don't take any.
Spicy.
Spicy. What a curious request. Let me see what I have. And he sets the tin down, and it doesn't move at all. Nothing in it moves. But he digs around in another case at his feet, and eventually produces something. This ought to do it. It has the dried pieces of a particular kind of pepper that only grows in the Feywild. It makes a wonderful tea, but it is also the kind of heat that you remember for the rest of the day. And he adds a scoop of that with some tea to your cup. And he looks toward Torek, and Torek just very simply answers, "Just a black tea would be fine for me, please." Simple man. And he just smiles and nods and sets up his black tea, pours water in everyone's cups. Laurel's cup seems a little antsy because she didn't do the sugar cubes like she said she was going to. And it sort of nudges her hand that's sort of resting on the table.
There are tears in her eyes. And they're just welling up, and she's just like, I changed my mind.
Avari looks towards you. Is something the matter? You look as if you've seen a ghost.
I don't want to hurt anybody. I really don't want to take anything. I don't want to take
Slow
their
down,
guts. I
slow
don't wanna
down,
drink
dear.
their-
Slow down.
I don't want to drink their blood. I don't want to do any of that.
It's not anybody's blood. I assumed all of you were living beings. I didn't prepare for blood drinking. No. These are not alive. They're, what is the word? I suppose constructs. They are magically animated. They're not living creatures, my dear. Oh no. Where did you get such a ghastly idea?
It was coming over here. It was tipping its hat at me. It was being super cute and animated and such. And it was just one of those things that I kind of thought that I just didn't want it to die.
None of them can die. They're not alive.
I also didn't want to hurt it.
They can't be hurt either. They're basically toys. Sweetheart,
There's just
no.
tears streaming down her cheeks as she's talking. It's like,
Okay, if you're sure that I'm not hurting
He snaps his fingers, and the sugar bowl and your cup specifically settle. And the little appendages are gone. They're not moving. They are
she
ordinary
freaks out.
teacups
She
and kettles.
absolutely just goes like, oh my god, you killed them!
They were not alive, sweetheart. No. Goodness, what happens? What?
They were moving and now they're not.
They are toys, my sweet. What to do? Would it make you feel better if they were moving again?
Yes.
He snaps his fingers, and the sugar bowl like shudders to a little standing, and the teapot begins nudging, or the teacup, I'm sorry, begins nudging your hand again. Is that better?
Yeah,
I promise you, nothing I have done hurts them. They are not alive. They don't feel pain. There is no what is the word? There's no spirit to them the way there is for creatures, for animals and the like.
That's very helpful. I mean, they were moving and they were like very, very polite, honestly, with everything, and it was wonderful. And you know, I just saw the sugar and I was like, oh, the sugar would be fantastic. And then I realized the sugar's inside of them, and that, like blood and guts and all like innards that people need to like live are inside of them. And I was like, really worried. And then like the tea.
He bends down and grabs something from the ground that you don't quite see, and he just says, hold out your hand.
She does so.
And he places a small rock in it, just an ordinary rock from the side of the road. It's completely normal. Is that rock a part of you? Is it inside you? Just because it's in your hand?
No.
It is the same for them. The water, the tea, the sugar, they're vessels. Their job is to be a vessel. That is it. Believe me, please. You can roll an insight check if you want to on him as well.
All right, let's see.
You rolled two bad ones. They
Sevens
can't
so
all be
far.
bad.
I mean, you say that, but have you seen me roll?
Yeah, you rolled fine.
There you go.
Everything sort of hits now. These are just toys. They're just, he's just showing off magic. It's not in any way a living creature, and you almost feel a little silly. You almost feel a little
she feels
embarrassed.
Very silly, and she just kind of blushes. Like there's this big crimson. Her cheeks just go bright crimson in regards. Like, oh gosh, okay, sorry, I didn't.
It's quite all right.
Okay. My apologies, please.
Say nothing of it. It is totally fine. So, what brings you out this way? Why are you out here? He looks toward the rest of the group.
So the powder puppies aren't alive?
Not at all. They are magical creations of my own design, and they are inanimate objects that I have made animate, but they are nonetheless objects still. No more alive than that cart over there.
Does the cart walk?
No, it has wheels. He sort of like looks at you, a little bit of disappointment showing on his face. You rode here on it. Did you see it walking?
I didn't see the cart at all, let's be honest.
just assumed everything was fine.
Yeah.
As this conversation continues, and he sort of begins grilling you. Sorry. As he begins sort of grilling you about what you're up to while you're traveling, that is where we will end today's session. We will be taking a short break. Unfortunately, I do not currently have music set up for it, so I will try to just have the game music continue through it. But like I said, after our usual break, we will come back and we will have some downtime, as it were. Just hanging out, talking about art, talking about the game, whatever else. We will see you soon.